Sean, thanks for joining us. Great to see you.
Glad to be here.
Let's dive in.
Right.
The theme of this conference is anticipate, adapt, and accelerate.
Yeah.
As co-chair, give me some idea of what you think this focus means for insights teams.
Yeah. Truthfully, that is what we do, right? We try to anticipate what's to come, what's around the corner. When it comes to adapting, it's teaching our organization how to adjust and shift to what's to come. The accelerate piece is what's interesting for me. Everyone wants everything faster, with less money, do more with less. It's only now that technology is enabling that. When you think of the likes of machine learning and AI, if we aren't embracing that technology and adapting to the possibilities, then it's not like AI is going to take over. It's the people who are using it who are going to accelerate at a much faster pace. Democratization of data is something we have to accelerate. The ability to summarize and get to the gist of the point, the main message, right? The elevator pitch, the sound bites. Those are the things that we have to champion in the minds of not just consumers, but the people we're marketing to every day in the office who are trying to drive change and the perception of the possibilities. So I think that's a little bit of the adapting. And I think that's also a lot of the acceleration. I think acceleration is the key today. There's a lot that enables that.
And it's a great point, too, that a lot of what we want to do isn't new. It's just that the technology now allows us to do the things we wish we could have done for years.
So
right?
true. That's actually our competitive advantage. And I'll be honest, I've heard in the last decade so many functions who are claiming we can do insights. But when you've been trained in a traditional sense, especially coming out of CPG, the idea of what is an insight, highlighting attention, understanding that if I package my information appropriately, it will drive the right behavior, both internally and externally. That's what we're trained to do in the consumer insight space. And so with all this data coming in and all the new ways you can look at it, just that foundation of what we are as insights professionals and what we've done for years, that's what we need. And those are the ones we need to embrace the technology, the capability, and ensure we're doing it in appropriate ways.
You're known for having an entrepreneurial spirit, but how have you managed to create space for that kind of thinking within the structure of large CPG organizations?
Yeah, in so many instances, we want to be entrepreneurs. Like in our spirit, we see possibilities. At the same time, we have to be that foundational rock to ensure that things are done with quality and done in the right way. But with the world of constant new information and new ways to access consumers, whether it's through social media, whether it's big data, whatever the case might be, the ability to look and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to triangulate across multiple points of view. And what I'm really looking for is something that's going to be passion driven or emotionally driven that I can capitalize on. And to be honest, that's what entrepreneurs do, right? They get a passion about something, they get so excited and they're ready to run and nothing can stop them. And we have to find those snippets, those opportunities and bring them forward. We can all see the data. We can all see, there's growth in Gen Z. There's a lot of wealth about to transition from boomers to millennials and Gen Z. But at the end of the day, that person that leans in to find what's driving the behavior, understanding their cultural beliefs, the things that motivate us beyond the data itself, but the real human aspect, that's where I feel like the entrepreneurial spirit comes to life.
Yeah, moving a large organization can be tough, right?
Very tough.
So have you found that bringing that spirit in is something you can infuse through the organization?
Yeah, usually there's someone in the room who's also a champion, right? If you look at successful leadership, most leaders find ways to lean in to the things that matter. And there will be someone in the room when you're sharing the results or bringing your perspective forward. And if you can pick up on the fact that they're right there with you, and you get a little snowball effect, because
Yeah.
your one reaches another, and the next thing you know, you've got a few people chanting and standing behind whatever it is that's a unique opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's something, if it fits your brand or it fits your company purpose, so you can attach yourself to it and be truthful and authentic about that. Lots of good things come out of those situations.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. As things continue to change for the insights industry, how are you thinking about what risks are worth taking? What's your criteria or framework to make that evaluation?
I feel like we all should be looking 10 to 20% of the time at something that's maybe a little bit outside of the box. If you think about the pace of change globally, right? You look at countries like China or South Korea and the pace of innovation. You look at countries maybe a little more similar to the US, like Australia, and you talk about the pace of change in consumer behavior. Or better yet, you go into emerging markets, right? The Africas and Asias of the world, the Indias, Indonesias, Nigerias, where there's such fast pace change. When you can adapt and adopt what works in those environments to your more traditional, more mature markets, people are people. And at the end of the day, when we can pick those things out and find opportunity to scale those opportunities, that's where you can see some exponential growth. But at the end of the day, we've got big brands, big businesses that we have to protect. And I think we traditionally hold on to the base foundation of knowledge. It's innate in who we are as researchers, especially in the quant space. And then you've got to have a little bit of curiosity. And I like that 15, 20% of what we do to be allotted for some of that thinking outside of the box, trying new tools, meeting with companies that are maybe breaking the traditional fold, but applying what we know works in the insights space.
Yeah, I like that guidance because I think part of risk is I got to give up something or I might give up something. But if you say, well, it's 10 to 15% of the time, so you still got plenty of time to
That's right.
to protect your status quo. If that's
Keep
what
the
you need
house
to do.
together.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Then that's okay. So yeah, that's great. You've built consensus across global and cross-functional lines throughout your career. What's your approach when stakeholders have fundamentally different views on what consumer data is telling them?
Yeah.
Not that this ever happens.
No, not at all. Like, everyone's always, consensus is like key for everyone. I'll say this, there's probably two things. Number one, stakeholder interviews up front and early, because you can learn a lot. Because if everyone's got the same ultimate goal, which is to grow, which might also be to minimize risk, you want to hear from that broad audience. You want to hear those competing thoughts. And for those who may have started in a particular place, if you take them on the journey of learning, when we talk about learning plans, like that's over time. When we talk about bringing in hard quant data or bringing in a qualitative perspective, those same stakeholders are listening and looking for the same opportunities. I actually appreciate when stakeholders will share their opinion up front, give you an idea of where they would have some contention or what you're going to have to do to convince them to see it a different way. It helps you know what to look for.
Yeah.
The expertise that our stakeholders have are with the intent of bringing the best out of us in the insight space. They actually guide you on where to look, what to unfold. You know what to listen for. If you've ever been a moderator, right, such as today, you find opportunities to say, that's the thing I want to key in on because I heard from a stakeholder, this is critical, this is important. So I see the stakeholders as your best friends on the journey to finding those unique nuggets that'll drive growth.
And particularly hearing from them early on.
Very early on. Let's get it all on the table. And over time, we all evolve. You know, as a moderator, you find yourself learning things. As a researcher, you see things in a different way. To hear multiple opinions, start to triangulate. And I'm not just go with consensus, go with the majority of the group. You may have to make that call, but expressing your own personal opinion and giving it how you see it is also respected, even if there are stakeholders in the room who don't agree,
Right.
because you're guiding them also. We all play a role in being the stakeholder on behalf of the consumer. It's not about us in the room. It's about those we service and provide for.
Yeah. And as a leader, how are you coaching up and coming insights professionals right now?
You know, it's interesting. Technology is changing things so fast. How people learn, where people experience brands, where people experience products. The fact that over 77% of Gen Z are more interested in experiences than products themselves. They're more interested in putting something together. So the idea of coaching new and up and coming insights leaders, some of it is innate in who they are.
Right.
Like some of this is a little bit more listening to the possibilities and how they see life and encouraging them to bring themselves into the work. Because there's a major shift. And most of the people who've been in the industry a few decades, maybe a decision maker or a key stakeholder, they're not the end consumer. And the idea that many of our up and coming leaders are those end consumers and can tease that out and finding ways to bring into the corporate environment. This is the Corporate Researchers Conference, right? Bring that into that corporate environment so that those who are making those decisions get a feel for what people in today's society who are looking to have experiences, looking to spend their money where it matters, bringing that in-house. It's not just about the data. It's not just about the technology. It's not the latest thing, chasing down the shiny object. It really is about understanding people. Yeah. Humans.
Those things are all enablers, but
that's right.
They've got to drive it to the human understanding.
Absolutely. And when it's in their gut, now we can all make better decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Well, Sean, this is great. I really appreciate the conversation. Thank you. And appreciate you being on the deep dive.
Love it. Glad to be here.
Thanks.
All right.